Hey guys, it's field trip day. We have been watching all month to see when was the peak time that elderberries were ready to find and pick.
Yeah, we've purchased in the past from ag co-ops or um, gotten some from some friends that had picked them and everything. But this is our first time to forage for ourselves, so we're really excited for that. And we found
Yay!
some, which is great. Now, elderberries are so in the news now, so to speak, and the buzz on them is great.
Because they are so good for you. We've been making the elderberry syrup for years with
Hmm.
the berries that, again, we acquire,
Hmm.
but getting them for free, oh, there's nothing like that. So we are very excited that we have found a great place to harvest them today. So let's go do that. We did some research on where you would want to find them before we started hunting for them because they are ripe right now in central North Carolina. Today is August 1st, and we had been looking all this week because we knew it was really close. So, this is what we hear is called a disturbed area. That was new to me, but it's a place where it is not deep, mature woods. So, it's more recently been leveled or mown at some point in the past 10 years, and it's not going to be deep in the woods that you will find elderberries because they do like sun. They also like ditches. So this right here heads downhill, so there's going to be a lot more water at the bottom of this, and that's another place where you're going to look for them.
This here is the edge of a creek bed, and that's a great place to look. The line where a meadow meets up with woods is also the perfect place. You see this elderberry bush right here?
If at all possible, try to avoid roadways. You just never know if they're going to be sprayed to keep the weeds down. So, to be safe, try to avoid those.
So we found this elderberry bush. It's actually more of a tree. It's really tall. And these we've checked with our app on our phone to make sure these truly are elderberries. I was 99% sure. But look at these things. Aren't they beautiful? They grow in clusters that hang, and you know they're ripe when they get that dark red, almost black color. You don't want to harvest the green or the very light red elderberries. Those aren't ripe yet, and you want to leave them on the plants to ripen. What you want to do is harvest the ones like in this floret here that are darker. They've all ripened. Even if the birds have taken some of them or they are missing some berries, that just means that they're ripe enough and they've fallen off and the birds like them enough where you can pick them too. Now remember that even the black elderberries aren't good to eat when they're raw. You have to cook them or they're poisonous and toxic for you. But look at this floret here. This is one definitely we want to leave. We don't want to harvest it yet. It isn't ready.
This is a pokeberry. I wanted to show you the difference because oftentimes, at least here in North Carolina, pokeberries and elderberries can grow like right next to each other. They don't look super similar once you learn what they look like, but funny story about that. Before I knew the difference, I gathered a whole bunch of pokeberries. I was so proud of myself, and I brought them home in this big colander and set them out on the back porch. And Dan came in and he's like, "Hey, what are those?" I'm like, "I got us some elderberries. I found where they grow." And he's like, "I'm really sorry to tell you, those are pokeberries, and pokeberries are absolutely not edible." So my own terrible story about how I did not check my app while I was picking. I was going to do it when I got home, but still, I could have saved myself a lot of trouble.
Harvesting elderberries is a little bit of an art form because those berries really want to fall off the floret. So you have to be careful with that. But really, all you need are some snippers and some kind of a container. Some people use buckets and they hold their bucket under the floret of the elderberries and then they just cut them right into the bucket. Today, I'm going to use a gallon bag and I'll show you later the reason why I use a gallon bag. You ready?
Yes.
All right, so with a bucket, it's a one-person job. Just easily, you put the bucket around your arm and just let them drop in. But because
Mm-hmm.
we're using this gallon container, I want to be real sure with this bag to get them in there. So I'm going to use Heidi. She's going to be my person here, my point person. So what you see, what we do here is we want to support below the cutting area the floret because it's awfully heavy when there are a lot of them, and you just want to make sure to get that out of there before too many berries fall off. A few did. And then Heidi's going to keep that open. I'm just dropping them right in there. So the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I use this gallon bag is I don't lose any berries, which is really, really nice. Also, when we process these berries before we cook them, we freeze them. We freeze them actually into the winter, so these will stay frozen for several months. What we do though to pick them off of the florets is we freeze them first, and then they're easy to pick off the florets and comb through them without those berries getting all squishy and juicing themselves.
Yeah,
so
that should work really well.
Exactly. So what we've basically done here is we put them in the container that they're going to be when they go into the freezer. With Heidi stationed with our gallon freezer bag, I'm going to cut a few more florets off, and I'm just doing a visual check here to make sure there aren't any green ones.
Looks like there are plenty of florets that are all ripe, so we'll harvest those and check the green ones in a week. That's a wrap. We'll head back to the farm, separate and freeze the berries, and give you our yummy elderberry syrup recipe. Friends, I am grateful to come into air conditioning after picking berries on a hot summer day. I am also grateful for this abundance. I'm so excited that we found this many on just 2 bushes. They were mature bushes, so they had a lot on them, but it's exciting. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these in the freezer. They're still on those branches, right? We're going to let them get completely frozen. Then we'll take them back out and we will pick them off their little branches. So Dan will show you that as soon as they're frozen.
It's been a couple of hours since Heidi put the elderberries in the freezer. You can do a couple of hours or wait a couple of days if that's more convenient to your schedule. You just want to make sure that your elderberries are frozen. Make sure you have a bowl. We'll go ahead and get them out of the freezer and show you exactly what we do. Here are our 3-gallon bags of our elderberries. They are definitely frozen solid, which is exactly what we want. As I start manipulating these and isolating them into the bowl, they won't juice themselves and get all over my hands. It'll be a lot easier to work with. Start with 1 floret and just start working your hands across the floret. You should start having the berries just come right off into your container. It's real easy this way. You won't get juice all over your hands, which is really nice. Just work all of those out there. You can't hurt the berries this way, so you can be even a little bit less gentle. Just work those with your hands. Get all of those berries off of that. This floret piece, the branches, will be thrown out. They're of no use at all to us anymore. But as you do that, you can even shake it or hit it against the side. Get all of those off of there. Work that. All right, that is the end of our berries. We pulled all of those apart. Now you might be asking the question, why am I doing this, pulling all of these berries off of here after freezing them in order to just freeze them again? Because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to put them in this freezer bag next. Well, there are a couple of reasons why we do that. First, the initial freezing will kill any bugs that are on your florets that you don't see. I actually pulled 4 or 5 of them off and separated them off to the side when I was separating the berries. The second thing is that you save freezer space. By eliminating all of this floret, you can get rid of those branches, and we consolidated 3 bags into this, which will go into 1 bag, and it'll save us a bunch of freezer space. Also, when you do this, you can more easily pick out the green berries. Remember, it's important to pick out the unripe berries before you freeze them again. Zip the freezer bag, making sure there's no air in it. You don't want to push down on the berries because they will juice in there, but make sure that is tight. Put that in the freezer until the fall or the winter when you want to make your elderberry syrup. If you've never made elderberry syrup before, we did do a short last fall and published it where it gives the recipe and the whole plan and process of making it in your Instant Pot. And we're going to show that right now.
Hey everybody, you know the benefits of elderberry syrup for winter immunity, but you know it can get awfully expensive at the health food store. Well, we have a homemade recipe that has helped our family stay healthy for years. Here are the ingredients. In an Instant Pot, start with 3½ cups of water. Add 3/4 cup frozen or 2/3 cup dried elderberries, 2 sticks of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of cloves, and 2 teaspoons of fresh minced ginger. Next, cook in your Instant Pot for 5 minutes on high pressure. Pour the contents through a strainer into a heat-resistant glass container and mash down to get the rest of that goodness out of there. Once the liquid is mostly cool, then you can go ahead and add nutritious honey to taste, because it does tend to be a little bit bitter. The finished product will keep in your fridge for up to 2 to 3 weeks. Here's to good health.